be able to buy potions and protolix with your Alchemica.
Yeah. I think with the midweek spaces, if you guys saw my tweet about that with No Future, we leaked out the kind of work in progress for the new UI. What you'll notice is like originally we had two different shops. We had a potion shop, we had a protolix shop, and I get the reasoning behind that was thinking long term, like basically was just like do each one individually, and those will eventually turn into NPCs or shops in the metaverse. Um, but for the game inside SFA, there's like no point. Like just have one item shop and then a bunch of tabs. We can add new items for forever infinity. So that's the new item shop. Kind of combines it all into one and makes it very scalable. Oh, Phase. Yeah, you caught me, man. Yeah, I'm actually under the weather a bit. Caught me. I was hoping nobody'd notice. But I'm doing fine. I'm on the rebound today. So, oh, we got Igor in the chat too. Nice. Igor knows a thing or two about the UI we're talking about here. So between him and Stellar, they're doing great work. Really, really adding that personality, injecting that personality into the new designs for Spirit Force.
Yeah, even that beautiful UI just above there. A lot of that was implemented by Igor. He also is doing the designs for the DAP, so he's very active in the UI UX thread. You guys might have seen his video where he was taking you through some of the upcoming DAP updates. Very Chad.
Yep. Igor does amazing work, and you'll see his work more and more with Gachi Chain coming. I'm sure. There's just more and more venues for him to flex. Z-Bot in the house, nice.
I guess we have. I'm surprised no one has brought it up into the chat, but I'll ask real quick. Can you guys discuss Andy Tudor and his departure? Like any information you can give us?
Oh, sure. Yes, we're definitely going to do that. I just was kind of watching the audience count. We're at 38. I was like, maybe we can get.
We're gonna talk about it, and then people will come in 10 minutes later and be like asking the same question. So
yeah, but definitely going to address that in just a minute here. What is Vase sharing here in the chat? This is pain. All the
NFT displays. That's something I'm really excited to fix in Gachi Chain. All of our NFT displays will be, we'll let you actually put those on chain.
Yes.
Rather than right now, they're kind of off chain because we were trying to save people money. But it's turned out to be quite a mess not having, being able to index those. Can't wait to fix that actually. Phase, if you want to get those back though, feel free to make a ticket, and Goobs can help look at those. Ace, you got a hot mic. I don't know what's going on. I want to mute.
Yeah, I think it's your mic, Ace. We hear background voices.
Oh, moment.
It happens to the best of us.
Soju, GM, Maxi Crouton, GM.
Man, look at Maxi racking up the emojis. Big GM for Maxi. Oh, Soju too, even more. Jeez. Full house.
See, anything else you want to cover before we talk about the Andy announcement?
No, I mean we can get into like there's a lot of cool stuff happening inside the company and across the DAO here. So nothing in particular though. Probably just get into it here.
I do want to say that the type form for SFA is going to be closing for any feedback. This first SFA type form is going to be closing here very soon. So if you have any final feedback after trying the new release, we will probably do another type form in a couple weeks. But if you have any feedback from these last couple releases, jump over to the SFA Discord and check the announcements there to get the type form and put in some feedback. We're reading all the feedback. A lot of it's really helpful, And yeah, we're just super pumped to keep improving this game.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
you
that's-
guys have something interesting to share about those feedbacks, or maybe some interesting ideas that you've been seeing so far from the type form.
A lot of it. Some of the things, like for example, the sound effects. We know that the sound could be like much more immersive than it currently is, or VFX. Sometimes they're not, like, we don't have individual VFX and stuff for weapons or sound effects and stuff. So all that, definitely, we're going to continue improving that. It's kind of placeholder at the moment, just while we get a lot of the basic stuff done. A lot of really good bug fixes. Um, a lot of people are. There was one question where we asked about, are you excited to see basically the Gotchiverse being using this SFA foundation? And I think the majority of the feedback was like, hell yeah, very excited about it. So that was really good to see that most people are very on board with using what we've developed so far with SFA for the foundation of the Gotchiverse as it was intended to be. One question we had was, do you find yourself wanting higher caps for ghost wagering? And one of the features we have in flight actually is being able to like slide a wager up and down. So in the next coming versions here, you will be able to increase your wagering for dueling if you would like to do that. And the other thing, one of the least favorite parts, which is obviously needs to be addressed, and we're working on, just having to like reconnect to MetaMask every time is super annoying. I think they've actually fixed that in a new version of the Third Web Unity SDK, so that'll be really nice. And just better wallet linking and accessibility for the game is obviously something we need to keep improving.
Yep. Some of that we know how to handle better with Gotchi Chain. It'll just be much easier for us to tweak these things, and everything will move faster. But also, our partner at Third Web we're a little bit beholden to their timeline in terms of like wallet linking and things like that. So we are in full communication and prodding and pushing for the features we need. So they shipped some stuff just a week ago that was close but not quite what we need. So they know what we need though. So pushing, always pushing. And in the absolute worst case, we've also drawn up backup plans where it's like, well, we could roll it ourselves if we have to. There's always a way.
Maybe you can share some alpha about Gotchiverse that's gonna be based on the SFA, because right now I can see it only as like a battlefield that we see right now, and I'm just trying to wonder how it's gonna look like when you're actually gonna run the Gotchiverse in that basement.
Oh, we got some Gotchiverse alpha today for sure. Want to address the bigger news around Andy and that announcement first, and that kind of segues really well into everything that's going on with Gotchiverse. So for some listening, maybe not even aware, Andy Tudor has been the director for SFA for the last year, roughly almost a year. And there was an announcement, I guess it went out here yesterday, that he's no longer the director. So might be a surprise to some or many or all, but just want to reassure everybody we're super excited about moving forward. And Dan and I, we've actually kind of already been working in kind of a leadership director capacity alongside Andy for the last many months. So it's kind of been a shared role. And so we thank Andy for his time with the company, and he did a lot of good things, brought a lot of great ideas and structure to the team. I think he was the right person for the right time. But everything has a season, and so it started to make sense and become apparent at some point that as we moved into Gotchiverse, it might be the right time to make some adjustments on who's going to lead that initiative. So we're still we're actually more bullish than ever. Andy understands and is in a good place. I think he's excited for his next venture, and I think he's going to stay in Web3, which is really cool. That what he experienced working on Aavegotchi, he's basically said that he came from Web2 gaming, 20 years of experience there, and he doesn't want to go back. Like Web3 definitely is the way forward. So it's pretty cool in that sense. I think everybody wins. But yeah, there may be questions about why, and I really don't think it's appropriate to go too into detail, other than to say everybody's mutually respectful, and there's always some level of, I guess you could put it at creative differences and just leave it there, and really can't go too more specific than that. But at the end of the day, it's just like a bit of, you guys know the game Telephone, and it's sometimes easier when it gets into Gotchiverse, particularly for just
Taking
features.
feedback and features, listening to you guys, navigating what is already out there in terms of expectations. That's I think something that because we've kind of been with this community so long, it comes natural for us, but maybe not so natural for someone who is coming onto the team, and it did prove to be a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, just like we know the Gotchi brand as well as anybody here on this call, and sometimes there's just different visions, and we also know, like, it's okay to be creative and flexible, but at the end of the day, we're very sensitive to building a Gotchiverse that aligns with what you guys expect, and so we're just going to be very hands-on with that, and we're really excited about it.
But it was nice goodbye, right? It was nothing like you fired him for not delivering.
No, I mean, he delivered this first version of SFA. Granted, like Jesse said, in the last 3 months or so, we have gotten a lot more hands-on with it, because we did see some things that we knew the community had concerns about, or community wasn't quite engaging with the game as much as we had expected for some reasons. And so Jesse and I did get involved to kind of help course correct a bit, and that was part of this in terms of creative differences, how we handle feedback, kind of some areas of vision for the game, and just making sure that we're creating a game that our community is excited about. I think at the end of the day, we're trying to make this game for Gotchi holders first, and if adoption happens outside of our community, it's going to be because our community is so passionate and loves this game, not like we're going to make a game for an external community and try to get them to be excited about the game. If we succeed, it's going to be because we're making awesome products that we as a community like, and that kind of love spreads outward and attracts more people, not going out from a kind of external perspective and trying to bring people in.
So what does it mean for the future of Gotchiverse? And what about, like, if DAO will have some vision and the Pixelcraft gonna have a different vision? Is these creative differences will appear, or how is it gonna be?
Right. So one thing I want to say is, if you're like following SFA development these many months, then when we say transition, it's not like there's a big change. We're still following the roadmap, the vision that was put out in the January blog post.
Yep.
And if you're following the SFA for the last few months, you've already actually seen that transition over the last 2 to 3 months. Because like when I say Dan and I have been very hands-on with the direction of SFA for the last quarter, we mean it. Like we're in every call, we're co-directing this basically unofficially, and making sure that the features get in that need to get in, and like rebalancing the champions and even the visuals of the game. Like there's just a lot of areas that have already had Dan and I's fingerprints all over it in these last 3 months worth of releases. So you won't really see a shakeup or like a big change. Like if you're cool with how things have been going in the last few months, then expect more of that. That's the design decisions, the gameplay. You know, Dan and I were very involved in listening to feedback, like, you know, like um, Lavel, Hardcore, so many of you guys, view Ace, these play tests. That's all initiatives that Dan and I prioritize as being at the top so that we make sure we build something you guys enjoy.
So
Because
it sounds like you guys want to cooperate with our DAO more than just like building something on your own vision, right?
I mean, the
yeah, well,
Gotchiverse was literally it's supposed to be the brainchild of Pixelcraft and the DAO. Like it's never it's and SFA is the first step in that. Like we've always been saying that SFA is going to inform the Gotchiverse because it was the first step in the migration to 3D. So it's not like Pixelcraft is going off and building a totally new game. The really like SFA is just part one of the Gotchiverse, and you'll be able to even access SFA from the Gotchiverse, and all the combat and the SFX and the VFX that we're doing for SFA right now are going to be carried over into Great Battle Simulator.
So there is no change of plans about Great Battle Simulator, right? So nothing wrong
No,
with
dude,
the
I'm
engine.
so excited for GBS. Like, I want to get to GBS as fast as possible. I think it's going to be really fun. We just have to get farming working first, which is the team. Jesse will be sharing some screenshots and videos here in a second, but the team has already started breaking ground on basically going through all of the 3D wearables. They've done that now, and now that same team is going through all of the installations and the decorations and the tiles and basically polishing them up for 3D and making sure they look really good.
yeah. So really nothing has changed on the roadmap at all. It's
Yeah.
it's more about in like the minutia of the day to day, what to
Yeah.
prioritize. And it's just like, no, we gotta fix that. Like that's not a negotiable. Like it has to be fixed as soon as possible. That kind of stuff is what we're kind of.
Like we had some weird, there were just some strange things that we ended up having quarrels about. Like, just one funny example was like I'm really passionate about melee, and I have my milkshake. I'm like you for he Andy invented the stances, which is I think it's a good idea in principle. We're gonna have to keep exploring if they can really work as a full mechanic. But like the grenade was part of the melee, the range stance. And I was like, bro, I need to be able to throw my grenade with my melee stance. And he's like, he didn't want to do that for some reason. So it was small stuff like that ended up like a lot of small, minute issues like that, coupled with some other things, really was
And,
just made
and to
it
be
clear,
fair,
like, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, sorry to interrupt. But yeah, I mean, like that's I would just say like it's not Andy's fault. Like there's also like that one maybe, but there's like things that are like subjective, and then there are things that are like blind spots. And he's coming into NFTs and Web3 and learning about Aavegotchi. You guys know how deep the rabbit hole goes. And so just sometimes Dan and I have a much better understanding of like what is non-negotiable in terms of NFT accessibility, and some of those were really big, and there's not many people, you know, you would think there's more, but sometimes Dan and I are the last line of defense catching some serious like oversights where we're like, holy cow, guys, we can't set the rules that way. I don't know if you know it's just like without getting too specific, we're like maybe it's easier if we just go hands on with this and make sure like everybody just handles it, because we've been doing this 3 years now. We've never directed the game ourselves. We've never been hands on directly. Like we've always outsourced to a professional, and
Yeah.
maybe they'll come back into the fold someday. But in the meantime, we feel like we're at a point where it's like, yeah, we know what the Gotchiverse needs to be, and we have a pretty solid idea, and we have a great team to execute. We've built a relationship with them over the last 2 or 3 years, so we're just gonna go build it now, and it's not gonna be.
And the tech stack like won't be holding us back either. That was a really big issue with 2D verse. Just we tried to build this kind of overly complicated tech stack to try and have a lot of players online simultaneously, and it in Phaser, and it's just Phaser is not. At least maybe Phaser can work, but we could not make it work as a team. So different tech stacks work for different teams, and that tech stack that we built for the 2D verse was probably the biggest thing that held the game back, and why we wanted to make the switch to Unity.
Yeah, between back in Gotchiverse 2D, it was like, we want this feature or this feature. Well, this one's going to cost 3 weeks at best, and it'll end up actually being 5. And this one's probably a 2-month job, and it's like, why is that a 2-month job? It's just like, well, it's Phaser, and it's all bespoke, and there's no plugin. You got to build it from scratch. So that was a huge part of why we made the move to Unity. And now, like, once we commit to what we want to ship, we can ship stuff really quickly. You see these hot fixes coming in weekly, and it's a different ball game now with Unity. I feel like the team is at its peak right now. I guess just to put bow tie on this,
we were able to ship Ghost duels in like 3 weeks. Pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah, and it was lucky we were built on top of like a lot of the stuff built with Gotchiverse 2D in terms of the player wallet, all that infrastructure that lives on, and time tested and secure, and we were able to use it again. So pretty cool. So I mean, just don't want anybody worried. The roadmap remains the same. The team basically remains the same. The vision's the same. I guess in terms of changes, like I think what we want to do more of is more public building. We felt like there was a lack of that, so more building in public, more instant feedback, more oversharing of what we're working on and cooking with you guys, kind of like the old days in that respect. And just a refocused kind of, to me, it's like I want to focus more on what did the original light paper read. Let's not that every idea in there is golden and sacred and perfect, but want to honor the light paper and the 2024 vision we put out in January. I think those are the 2 key documents kind of guiding priority, at least through the rest of this year. So, yeah, pretty excited. I think we're in a good place with a really good team.
Absolutely. Shall we share some screenshots and stuff? Knowing that these are very work in progress. As I said, the team has been working really hard on SFA and making that arena look amazing, and also the 3D wearables. So they're literally just starting to process all these 3D installations and tiles, and even the look dev of parcels in the Gotchiverse. So this is still very early stuff, but I think it's already starting to take a little bit of a form.
Maybe it's easier I screen share, yeah? Everybody can watch a screen share? That should work, right? A second. Let's start with a little video. Pardon me, guys. I'm slow today. Okay, if you guys want to hop into my screen share and see this beautiful parcel. So this is from earlier in the week, or even late last week here. And what you can see is we kind of step back, like we're like, before because most of the team is still focused on Spirit Force in the July release, but we've got the designers freed up because we've finished all the wearables. So we've got a number of designers focused on getting all the assets cleaned up and ready for 3D, all the existing assets. And now it's about like fine tuning the feel of one environment. So like before we go off in a vacuum and build every piece by itself, it was like, let's put them in an actual space and try to achieve a vibe that feels good. So we're playing with things here in this video you'll see that are like, you'll see an adjustment of the reflection in the floor. And so
everyone can see this, right? If you're not watching, open the stream here by Golden Cross if you're not seeing this yet.
Yep. And this is just one example of playing with the reflection in the floor, and also changing the color of the floor and the grid lines, opacity, just what really are simple things. But if Dan and I weren't there, they would just be like, the tendency is just like, oh, okay, it's done, and then move on.
Yeah.
And so it's like a good example of where like now Dan and I are on every call and we're being like, okay, don't just show us what you did. Let's hop in together and modify it in real time together and make sure it actually ends up looking cool. Because the floor looked really generic and bland prior to this. And I'm not saying this is the final version. I love your guys' feedback, but this is the kind of stuff that we're experimenting with.
Yeah, we can
So,
get
very-
really anal on some details sometimes. Which
we have to hold ourselves back, but
but
it's
you need
important,
that,
right?
right? Yeah.
If we don't get the vibe right, what are we doing? So, we've
But I
got
don't
we've
shout
allowed
at the team like Steve Jobs would do. Sometimes I wish I could, but we hold it. We keep it in.
Yeah. All right, here's some more reflections. I'll play another video. Let's see. I may have to switch screen shares. God, that's annoying. Change windows. Here we go. You guys can all see this, right? Here we go.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
this
that
one's
looks so nice.
what's that, Ace?
You just showed us some parcel with a golden tile. It was so beautiful.
Oh yeah, here it comes. So here you can see we actually have an avatar working in the parcel now. This is later in the week. We were trying out a blue floor, and we're actually here. We've got the real avatar, so we can start thinking about scale. Like how big do
Oh
we
wow,
want
yeah,
these?
that's true. Last time I saw this, we didn't have a gotchi moving around. It's sick.
Yeah, we're actually in it's the SFA game mode
Yeah.
applied to the Gotchiverse here.
Yeah.
So you've got reflections, you've got all the different mosaic tiles. I believe shadows are on. Like we're
Yeah,
also optimizing for
shadows.
eventual mobile support. So it's like, can we have reflections and can we have all these?
Look at that reflection of the golden tile. That was pretty sick.
Yeah, it's looking really good. That sun in the background, that'll be gone. We'll get a whole new sky and all that. But yeah, you can see we're basically using SFA. It literally is the Gotchiverse. We're using it here. And yeah, Thrax is saying reflections in Unity is surprisingly difficult. That is very true. We're learning. Yeah, Tommy
Yeah,
says,
that
isn't everything
grass.
measured by Unity? And I would say yes, but with Unity, it's a little. Once you go 3D, it's like if you go too verbatim to the 2D Gotchiverse, some of the scaling gets a little weird. So like we have to be one-to-one true to the grid lines and the placement because all that data is on metadata is on the blockchain and everything's gonna be placed on those same exact longitude, latitudes. But we were in there playing with like how tall is the gotchi. We had 3 different size gotchis, and just seeing what actually felt good. So we don't want to like be too beholden to numbers. We also want to spend some time and go with game feel and just see what's feeling good. All right, one more. You guys want one more? We got the so Dan, have we ever talked about how the fastest way to get farming out is to do the non-stitched approach?
I think we've talked about it, but it's probably been on
Yeah.
Hangouts like this.
Yeah. Well, worth mentioning again. So the faster way is to have your first farming experience be more of like a floating island of your parcel where they're not all stitched together like a full citadel yet. We'll get there, but like we can get it out much faster if we save that lift for another day. And instead, you can actually like still host parties on your parcel, do everything on your parcel, but it's this like floating island. And so let me show you
There
guys
might be a
couple.
middle way. I'm gonna explore. I want to explore a little with the team. In this video, you're gonna see there's kind of like a cluster of parcels together. So it's like you're not totally alone. You have some neighbors, but you're still not connected fully. So we don't have to handle the area of interest, like the interest management stuff. That could be a potential way forward. But yeah, we might just start with a single parcel. Like you're not gonna see that here, but imagine that there's only one parcel.
There it is. Let's fly up to it. Dun dun
Yeah.
dun. That's a spacious. This is a spacious floating parcel, and it does
By the
feel
way,
spacious.
guys, is there any changes about the estates, or it's gonna be only like the thing that you've been thinking about before the 3D Gotchiverse? Any
Yeah,
updates
I
on the
still want to have
estates?
estates. So we want to have estates, and they will eventually be connected. It's not gonna be a feature that gets shipped like immediately though. It's gonna take some time.
Here's a lot of the scale we were talking about. You can see like, do you want a giant Christmas tree or like technically the Christmas tree might be an exception, but they're supposed to take up the same amount of grid space, but it's still like
The scale
what
looks quite
feels
nice, honestly.
yeah, I mean there's 3 campfires there to consider. And I'll replay this one more time. You guys get a better look.
Maybe we could have like a zap gun where it makes you like really big or really small. It'd be kind of fun. Honey, I
Yeah.
Shrunk the Gotchi.
Yeah. So it's all about getting the feel right. And now that we actually have the avatar and can run around, that's going to help a lot because that's super recent. That's just the other day. This floating on, notice the jagged edges. So the idea here is maybe imagine you've got a humble or reasonable parcel in the middle, but then you kind of have a randomly generated exterior border around it that could be generic or maybe it's unique to yours like a fingerprint, but again it's about giving you a little bit more space so you don't feel so crunched because you do want to be able to hang out and see some friends, but obviously you could only build and farm on your parcel. And so these are
What's
some of the
interesting about this is we've never really talked about having like a floating parcel. So it opens up so much space below where you could have other stuff on top, like under the parcels. You could even have like a road, like because we do have roads between parcels. You could have like an air road where you're flying and it's like you jump onto like an air jet and you just fly faster. That would feel really sick too. But then you also have like the space under that could be other land or like grass or other environment.
yep, it's just a matter
We
of
don't
like
have to make the floating parcel. I'm curious what people think of it because it would be more work to do, but it's kind of a cool idea.
we have to have an unstitched parcel first unless we want to wait an extra couple sprints to get the
for sure.
setting up. But does that floating parcel, how much do we invest into making it feel special and unique is a question. Like, do we build features around that floating parcel or not? So I personally, I'm open to both ways. Like it could be just placeholder until we can stitch it all together. Or if you really embrace it, you could do a lot of cool things with the floating parcel.
Imagine like jumping into a bounce gate. Like once it's fully connected, jump into a bounce gate, and it doesn't just teleport you, but it literally just like shoots you across super fast. That would be nuts. Very hard to do though, but would be pretty sick.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Very
we do
cool.
like
This is
flying.
this is all good stuff to ponder. Bounce gates are annoying to update when you have 30 spacious. Yeah, we also can look at things like scaling for the power owners, power users. I've got some screenshots too. Let me see. Let me just drop a few. I think I'm done screen sharing. I think that's the only videos we got. Um, let me double check. Is it only 3? Yeah, maybe. All right, more next week. More next week. I'll stop the stream. And yeah, I think it's cool how the GBS like mock-up and image that Stellar made for GBS, it actually is a floating parcel. It looks like one of those
Yeah.
jagged floating parcels. It's pretty cool before it was even like a thing. Yeah, I got some screenshots to share. So there were various shapes, and this is a pretty low res version. Like the floor doesn't look all sexy and stuff, but you get the idea. So this is one that would be, where is it? It's loading so slowly. Apologies, guys. Maybe these are huge like
Yeah, I love the idea of like that FOMO as kind of lava
Oh, there it is.
seeping
Okay.
down.
Yeah, so that's actually a humble parcel in the middle, and then it has a kind of generic frame of extra land around it just to walk around on, whatever. And then it's looking at the metadata saying, okay, you have a FOMO boost on your parcel, so put FOMO along one side. And those lava waterfalls could be a lot more beautiful and cool, but it's just, quick mock-up of what's potentially how we could potentially represent a humble parcel.
I know.
You can see off in the background the different variety. Like, do you want the jagged randomness or the square?
The only thing about the floating and flying is walls. So walls are gonna probably have to. They'll be good against licks, but if you fully wall your parcel off, we'll have to figure out a cool way to do that. Like maybe there's like a dome or something over it that other people can't get through. But otherwise, like walls would be kind of hard to do.
You have to do defense bubbles, force fields.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm ready to kill some licks though on these parcels. I'm very excited for GBS. Co-op, PvE, survival style with Ghost involved. Like hell yeah. Yeah,
Well, it's weird.
3D turkey party. Maybe we'll try to get some turkeys by November. Either we'll have the Halloween smash or we'll get some turkeys. I
Yeah,
think we'll be fairly well along on this roadmap by November. The pace we're moving right now, things are at a pretty good clip.
here's a spooky screenshot, very Halloween.
Yeah.
So that's a good example of a screenshot from the video where it's like, well, when you place these on your parcel, how big do they get? So that's two Skeletors or whatever we call them.
that raffle on the sled over there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we'll be going through these, one by one. But I mean, obviously, like kind of everything should kind of probably be similar. But I was just happy. I love the grass, the haystack that the skeleton's on top of. Like it's kind of
Yeah.
it works quite well. That's another decision to make. Does the grass, pixel grass that Zbot designed, is that tile going to stay flat tile? Looks kind of cool, an ode to the pixel, or do we like transform it to some sort of 3D that's quite similar to more like these haystacks? So, got lots of options, but we're gonna move pretty quick. I mean, we want to get stuff up and running and get you guys in the Gotchiverse. That's the goal here.
By the way, maybe you can share some alpha about the future of the Gotchiverse, like after GBS, what you guys planning? Like accept the farmings, because yeah, farmings is good, but what's the game entirely
Yeah.
gonna be like?
So after GBS, what we would like to do is start getting into more of the RPG questing and dungeon aspect, and more like P2P economy stuff. That is, it's a lot of planning and a work to do that properly. I mean, you could spend an entire year or two just preparing
Yeah.
all that. So uh, we're going to get GBS out and stitch the world together, and probably do some evaluating about where we are as a community, where the game is, what do we need to continue building out the player base.
What's the market
But
need?
yeah,
Like,
what does the
if-
market want? What exactly? So it's we've got enough to build to get to GBS and make that a fun game, like a little mini game within the Gotchiverse. And then there's plenty of cards and ideas that we have for post GBS.
Yeah, I don't think we want to commit to too much now, other than what we said is like honor the light paper, the original light paper, and what's in the doc. I mean, there's more than farming and GBS. There's a bunch of stuff in there. So, a proper metaverse, and especially with crypto, I saw it this week going off. Maybe it was Yellow Panther or one of them, but talking about UGC content, it's going to be so big for crypto, and it's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like, we have such a creative community here, and you see it with the fake gotchis. I'm definitely advocating and excited to honor that part of the roadmap for getting you guys to be able to uh, create assets that are minted on Gotchi chain and appear in the Gotchiverse. So whether that's 3D assets, artwork, something in between, that's, I think, another big part of this is the UGC aspect and having that all synced and minted on Gotchi chain. So it kind of goes back to what I said, no future on Wednesday Spaces. I think we ended that call talking about a kind of thought. I don't know, maybe like a prompt almost is like, what is the potential, knowing that we have our own chain and our own metaverse? So the Gotchiverse is the Gotchi chain, and the Gotchi chain is the Gotchiverse. What does that mean, and how do we?
I love that idea.
What does that mean in practical terms? So that's something we keep in the back of our mind. Like, there's a lot of, some of it could be gimmicky, like, does it really need to be there? Some of it could be like Easter eggs, and some of it could be like really impactful and really powerful. Like, so it spans a range. We're looking at all those things too. So I'm sure there's some more surprises along the way, that we want to have the chain and the metaverse like really tied to each other and affecting one another. I think I got a couple more screenshots here while we're chatting. Let me go find them. Yeah,
By
here
the
we
way,
go.
is the things about the development of the Gotchiverse going according to your expectations, and the dates are still fine?
So I would say we've spent a little extra time than we had planned on SFA, just getting it to the point where it is today, where we were pretty happy with it. Although there's still plenty of features that need to be added, or we feel like will help. So, and also the 3D wearables did take a little bit longer than we were hoping. Not too much longer though. Like they're almost done. So we are officially beginning work on Gotchiverse. Like I said, the artists have started working on it, and I am expecting the pace will be fairly quick. Like there's no major blockers now with the tech stack that we have, especially if we start by single parcels or like small clusters of parcels. We're we're originally aiming to have the first version of Gotchiverse by July. That probably because we're moving kind of in 1 month or 2 week or 1 month sprints as a team right now, so that probably won't be very realistic. But August for farming is what we're kind of aiming for right now. But that is also, we're getting the summer here, people have vacations and stuff, so more realistically farming will probably be in September. But during that period we'll also be continuously shipping updates to SFA, trying to grow the player base over there, adding more degen stuff to that, to make it even more fun than it is already, and balancing and all that kind of stuff. So lots of work going on right now.
All right, and when is GBS?
I can't give you like an exact date, but it'll be after farming. We have
All
to
right.
get farming done first so that people can update their parcels and prepare for the GBS, and basically make incremental changes to their parcel so that they can score higher in the game. So the moment we have farming, GBS won't be too much like later after that.
But as long as we have SFA, it's gonna be not that boring to wait, I guess. If you're gonna
Yeah.
ship some new updates, new modes or something, I don't know. I guess you're not dropping this since you got the control in your hands fully as a Pixelcraft team. I'm really excited to see what you're gonna go with.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
that's
exactly. We have a whole feature list of things people are asking for, like staking ghost for battle royales. Like we don't really know what is going to stick and what is just gonna not work. So we're also going to be trying some small tweaks here and there to the game, introducing new modes here and there, and just trying stuff, seeing what the market and our player base responds to.
What does it mean to stake the ghost for the battle royale? It's like the one who wins take all of the ghosts that been pulled, or I didn't get it.
So I think yeah. First of all, you would stake your ghost just like you do with a duel, and I don't think it'd be winner take all, but it would probably be like the first player gets the majority, and then second player gets some, and the third player like gets their ghost back, something like that.
Okay.
like that. That's like that can be tweaked, but that's generally the
Yeah.
idea, right? Like everybody, it's a one ghost stake buy-in. So there's 10 ghosts, and winner's going to get a big chunk of that, and it's like a little mini I don't know, rarity farming
Real
event.
world tournament. And yeah, we want to increase the number of players. Like right now, 10 is it's fun, but it is a little bit low. So there, if we find some time, we'll probably try to ship either like a bigger version of the current map or make some adjustments to the map to be able to support more players in it.
What
We want
what
to
you
have
think, guys, about?
yeah.
Okay, sorry. What you think, guys, about dropping off the number of cards and make just a timer for 10, for example, 10 minutes the game, one round, and the strongest player is gonna be just according to the score, and that's all. Because for example, if you are leading and you have just getting out, and you're gonna place like second or third according to the numbers of death.
I don't know if it's numbers of death or if it's just who survives the longest. I think actually I was watching Brill's game today, and the leaderboard seemed to be incorrect from my perspective. Like the second to last player who died actually ended up coming in third place because he had more kills, which I don't know. I don't know if that's correct or not. What do you think about that? Yeah, we
I'm
have
just thinking it. I'm just thinking it's gonna be probably more fair if it's gonna be just like a timeout. 10 minutes and the best
right.
scores just according to the leaderboard is gonna be uh, priced as they played. Not like somebody was camping the whole game and then he
Yeah.
coming out and kicking asses and he's the first.
Put to more models for sure. People want team mode, and last man standing is like kind of the most popular and works the best for online for a number of reasons, and that's why we went with what everybody else is doing. But uh, personally, I always liked a timed match and just kill death ratio. But you get
Mhm.
things like collusion you got to account for. It's not so clean cut, especially when money's on the line. So
I would
in time we can
still
add all these features.
I would still love it for battle royale. I know collusion would be an issue, but for me as an event organizer, I don't care. I just want to throw money in the pit and see people fight, like because it's fun.
Well, so that brings up an interesting point back to like what kind of staking is available for Battle Royale. And I think the obvious one is what Dan described, where everybody just has a buy-in, right? And then we redistribute it. But the other one is like for any community, just like that wants to sponsor a game night. If no future, you could just say, "Hey, I'm putting 10 Ghost in this Battle Royale, and I'm giving out either invite codes or it's open public, first 10 to get in, whatever." um, you could just sponsor the prize pool as by yourself. The other 10 people don't need to pay to get in. That would be a nice option too for hosts. So
Yeah,
maybe
that
we
would
can
be
do both.
perfect for me. I would say make it so that maybe the match is longer so that if I'm running a show, I can run a 30-minute match and like, ideally know it's like that long. And then I know Coder Dan said that uh, you guys tested your capabilities to up to 200 gotchis, but I would see if you can raise the limit and let us stress test it. Maybe put it up to 50 or 100, and I just try to pack a room and
Yeah.
we mayhem into.
Yeah, I think our issue right now is our UI only supports 10. But that's actually something that one of the features we're currently planning to basically have like a Fortnite style lobby where you join the game and you actually jump into like a real like a pre-game lobby, and you're able to like dance and emote and do all that with your gotchis while you're preparing for the battle. So once we have that, it'll be a lot easier to support bigger matches because then we don't have to worry about the pre-game lobby UI.
Make the UI scrollable too, but I think we're more excited to have this 3D public area.
Could just make
right
it scrollable, but because we were originally going to do like a separate always on kind of area, but honestly I think it'll be more fun to just have like that pre-game lobby where you can go and like hang out with other players and chat and emote
do some
and
last
do all that.
purchases. Be like, oh shit, No Future's got the AP potions.
Yeah.
I forgot to bring mine.
Yeah, exactly. The Gotchi Chan will be in there. So if you see someone carrying, you'll be able to see what items they're bringing in. So you'll be like, oh shit, let me go over and go to the shop and buy something. Or what I'm really looking forward to is like being able to actually trade items with people in that pre-game lobby. So there will eventually be items that you can't buy in the store that we'll have to craft or get from questing or whatever, and then you could trade those with people in this kind of pre-game lobby.
There is an interesting question from Al. He's asking about any whitelisted ERC20 tokens from base that could be able for grabs and SFA. For example, we make some initiative for, I don't know, any kind of base tokens and SFA as an airdrop if you're winning or doing a participation in any kind of tournaments or whatever. And we kind of could bring more audience from base chain.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we originally wanted to do in the 2D verse. Just got kind of distracted with tech issues. So if there are communities that would want to do like kind of play drop style or being able to drop their tokens in during a battle royale or something as kind of advertisement for their token, it could get interesting. Obviously, we'd have to vet the projects, but we one idea we did have was having kind of ad space in Spirit Force Arena, because right now we have those kind of generic posters. It would be fun to actually have posters of other either partners or like other projects potentially could have their posters there, and they could pay for that by donating tokens into the arena.
Yeah, I think it could work really interesting way, because if we're gonna get like attraction from other chains or other like meme coins or whatever it is, they can come and do like cooperations and any kind of partnerships that can work for both.
This is, I think we still have potential here to really be like a metaverse that is, you're playing as the Gotchi. We're probably not going to start whitelisting a bunch of other like VRMs, although potentially that could come in the future. But yeah, we do have the potential here to have like ad space and cooperate with and partner with other communities to raise visibility for their tokens.
I could see all these blue meme tokens. They all have cute cartoons, but they don't have the avatars, the VRMs, and all that. They just have the ERC20. So hey, those communities could come and while out and play for their meme coin pickups. I wouldn't mind that. But I was just saying, like they're talking about how to curate it and the necessity to do it. I was like, technically, it is a bit of a heavy lift right now for the way our backend team is. They're redlining, like they have so many projects to work on right now. So adding
Maybe it's time to expand the team.
I mean, our backend team is already pretty big, and they're just so busy. Like we have so many things to set up because you got to remember we're not just building one game. We're building this whole infrastructure for the player profile that is kind of the meta, where other games you guys are building and the DAO's building will be able to plug into. So that infrastructure we have to build, and it's time consuming and it's a heavy lift.
Most
But
of it's done now.
Yeah, the worst part of it is over. And so yeah, now it's like, well, what do we need for Gotchi chain? And there is still, don't get me wrong though, there's still some work. I remember talking with with our principal architect about like all the things necessary if we wanted to plug in like our Gotchi poker or some of these other projects we're still working on as well. There's still work to be done to make everything like plug and play.
Yeah, for like
No.
purely on-chain stuff, it's actually harder than like I was chatting with Immaterial about like Gotchi Battler and would it be possible to do badges and stuff in Gotchi Battler? And because it is a Unity-based game, it actually is a little bit easier than like a fully on-chain game that you have to read everything on-chain. So I think all these games that are building in Unity, like Dropped, Gotchi Battler, are going to have a real easy time of integrating these badges. Whereas other games that aren't building in Unity will have a little bit tougher time. Like we'll have, especially if they're like only on chain. But we'll get it all working. Just I think we're pretty happy with the size of the team right now. Everyone on the team is pretty goat, so we're generally pretty good. I think until the end of the year, and so, unless we really start wanting to ramp things up and really are starting to get the player base. But I'm quite happy with where our team is right now.
Yep. It takes a while to get a quality team, and like there's always going to be some level of turnover and things like that. That's just natural. But right now, like I said at the beginning of the call, early in this call, I'm really happy with where the team is right now, especially the Gotchiverse team. I think it's ready to just keep going with. You've seen the momentum with SFA improvements, hopefully, the last few months, and we've seen an uptick in interest. So we got to take that as affirmation that we are shipping fast and we're shipping the right things. So we're going to keep going on that route.
Real quick, last question. I'm curious what people think. If we were to implement some form of referral code for you guys being able to invite people to play duels and you could earn like a small percentage of the amounts that they staked, do you think that would be a good idea or is it a bad idea or just it wouldn't work?
I like it.
Would that make you like want to create content for Aavegotchi and SFA to be like, come play this game, and we can figure out maybe some small incentives like if they use your code they get something in the game. But yeah, we want more people creating content around SFA.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's smart to like. I also think because you mentioned yesterday like a fee for like that comes off the top of like certain duels or like even the battle royales.
Yeah.
I think you guys should implement that because it's a revenue source for you. It allows us to play and wager. It would make sense. Like any protocol is going to take a fee for the infrastructure they're providing, and for a duel, you're either going to lose all your money or you're winning your money plus. So it's like almost like playing YOLO games. Like I know I'm paying a fee, but if I'm right and I win, I win. I'm not paying the fee is not as big a deal.
Yeah. Well, we're in the DAO call now, but yeah, definitely. We maybe can talk about that a little bit more next week because there is some game theory behind it to be kind of think about.
Yep. Cool, guys.
The only issue is to find the opponent. It's kind of difficult, but yeah, thank you guys.
We
Good
just need
idea.
more players. We're working
Yeah,
on it.
that's true.
So we pass the mic to Foreign and FaZe.
GM, everyone. How are we all doing today?
Pretty good. And yourself?
Yeah,
Not too shabby. Looking forward to some nice warm sunny days. It's been some crazy weather over here in Portugal lately, so I'm trying to thaw out after the winter. But let's get straight into it. So it's me and FaZe today for our recap of what has been happening in the last week. So we only had 2 proposals close since the last DAO call, and they have both moved on to become core proposals. So we're going to start off with the MCon 3 sponsorship package. and T-Bird and Yalor are going to have a few words to say about it for us now. If they're here. Mhm. Are you here, T-Bird? Can we? There we go. GM.
I'm still waiting on Yaler to show up. Feeling a little under the weather today, but hanging in there.
Seems to be going around lately. So how are we going with the well, the proposal is still got 5 days left, is currently 81% in favor, and it's fairly close to meeting quorum. We're at 8.13 million out of the 9, so we do still need more voting to come in. We're at 8.8 now, so nearly there. 80% in favor at this point, so it's looking good. So the proposal was, let's see,
Sorry, y'all.
is 10 grand paid from the DAO, and the Gotchi greeters are using part of their already allocated budget to boost that a bit more so that we can have a great presence and do this more boutique event where everyone here is a proper dev. They're active, they're in the community, and they're doing things. So you can never have enough devs, can we?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping Yaler was going to come up and join me and talk about it a little bit more. I don't have a whole lot to add at this point, but yeah, we are kind of starting to go over the what our budget for the greeters is, and it looks like we're going to have a good amount to put forward and also feet on the ground. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
We're also going
Awesome.
to have an arcade machine on the ground, I believe.
That is the goal. How's that looking?
We did get boosted up to the first 50 units being distributed in the U.S. Polycade realized that they would get a lot more eyeballs on the machine sending one to us than some of the other people in line. So
Well,
we're
that's
getting a
dope.
low mint. Yeah, we're
Congrats.
getting a low mint machine, low mint numbers.
Does it
Awesome.
say the number on the machine? That'd be sick.
They've been in the Discord talking about that. The poor guy, I mean, he's going from 0 to 1,000 machines over the course of a few months. And so his factory in China, like he's always like pushing random updates. He's like, I can't keep giving these guys extra stuff to do. We've got deadlines to make. He's bouncing around some ideas of doing like a digital kind of mint number thing with each machine somehow.
Tell him if he needs a chain to mint it on. We got a chain coming here in just a few months.
Yeah, he's ready. He's ready.
That's sweet.
The synergy has been very nice between the two companies.
Awesome. Well, I'm pumped. What games do you think we'll be able to have on there as far as gotcha games to show at MCon?
I mean, I'm building one right now. Let me get my laptop loaded up. I can share my screen. And then I know Dropped for sure. I mean, every game will run on it. And then we also have the keyboard and mouse that slides out from the bottom. So at least aesthetically, it's going to be better than like a laptop on a stand, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, all the games will technically run on it.
What are the machines going to look like at the event? What's the artwork that's being wrapped around these ones?
Yeah, I've contacted all the major fake artists, and everyone's pretty bogged up with everything. I have a 500 ghost budget for a wrap. I just need an artist to do it.
Well, hopefully
I was
there's
hoping
someone
Thrax or
here.
Zbot. Yeah, if Thrax or Zbot's on the call, I need some help.
It sounds like a pretty good deal. 500 goals to get to wrap one of the first machines we have shipped out. Are there any templates that you can drop in the chat to give us a hand with the design spec? Or what
Yeah,
we
I
need
have
to do
the
to...
Adobe Illustrator file. I'll link it again. It's also in the chat for the thread for the machine.
Lovely. So it'll be really cool to see these machines in action. It wasn't that long ago, it was just an idea, and here they are, slowly materializing. So is there anything about the side events that you wanted to say with MCon? Because I saw you linked a couple of the 2 side events that are happening. Is there anything special going on with them? Anything new or?
I know that they've made the deposit for the event space for us, so and that's all reserved and should be good. But it's Off-World Arcade is kind of a cool little meeting area. They have a building space and arcade stuff, and there's a little little bar right next to it, I believe, called Checkers. I'm still waiting to hear from Yaler. He's been on the ground there a little bit and knows more. I was kind of hoping he would be up here to discuss, but didn't make it.
We can always get more just by jumping into the forums, and when we get an update when he comes back.
Yeah, I think
And
I just put a link to the forum post in there, and there's a few questions in there as far as like what's our value proposition that we want to bring, what kind of vibe do we want to bring to MCon. I know we have Aperion here in the crowd. I think he was here a second ago. Anyways, he's another metacarteller, and yeah, just looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good synergy, and a lot of Al's already booked his ticket, I think, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Really hoping it meets quorum and goes off without any major issues.
fingers crossed, fingers crossed. It's looking good though, 8.8. Still got a few days to go. So anyone that hasn't voted, please jump onto Snapshot and let your voice be heard. Let's see this one through to the finish line. There we are. Thank you, FaZe. So the next thing that is up for voting is Agip 122, the allocation of the quick swap poll rewards. So that is also cruising towards meeting quorum. We're at 8.7 million of 9, and 65% of the vote is heading for option 4 again. So just as a recap, option 4 is to bridge to base and use as incentives for the Ghost Weth pool on Aerodrome, which will be 2 months, 8 epochs with equal allocation each epoch if that vote continues on just like the signal proposal did. So we just need more votes to finish this one up. We have 2 days left to go, so we're very close, and that'll continue on with our little base experiment we're doing with Aerodrome. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Coda Dan? I know you're heavily involved in this idea, and it boggles my mind.
Yeah, I have been in talks with the Aerodrome team. They are saying that they might start making some changes to some of the I think they call it the flight program. And he was asking me a question, which was like, why are we putting so much liquidity so quickly? Like 8 epics. For him, he felt like it was a bit aggressive, and was asking like, do we have any goals for TVL as a DAO, or are we just trying to maximize like TVL in the short term. So they did have some questions and some suggestions for maybe slowing down the incentives a little bit, and then converting them more into V Arrow was one of their suggestions. But I did say that the DAO wasn't particularly excited about V Arrow at the moment because it's going to take a long time to build up any sort of significant V Arrow position for the DAO. And he did say that they are looking into some changes to the flight program to maybe help earn V Arrow faster and make it a little bit more like make it a little bit more attractive to go with the flywheel option. So nothing. I mean, I don't think it's anything we can really change at in the proposal, because the proposal that's live right now and going to meet quorum is for 8 epics. So maybe we can continue going with the current plan and wait for them to change something on their side.
That sounds fair. So we're going too hard. Did you ever get a response back for the excessive selling figure?
No, I mean, I mentioned it again, and I think they gave some suggestions, but I think I did not get like another comment from them about that. So we'll just continue as planned.
Cool. Well, there we go. So anyone else that has any other questions or anything, you can always ask him in the chat or just head back to the forums. I know that has been a very active thread with all the base. I don't even know
Just
what to call it.
to quote what he was saying, he said, "One question: is the 4 million TVL really needed at this stage? By aiming for a lower TVL, you could reduce your weekly spend and lengthen runway significantly, own a larger percentage of the pool on Aerodrome, and therefore farm back a greater percent of the weekly spend."
There you
So
go.
we can I'll post a summary of these messages into that chat that we have going. But again,
Awesome.
unless we change the prop that is posted currently, whoever authored that would need to make that change, I guess. I think we could change it in the core prop if the Maxi Crouton made it. So he would need to change that if we wanted to update that.
No worries. Well, until we hear more, I guess we'll just have to keep on keeping on, and maybe we'll get some more clarification or get some more ideas in the forum. Awesome. Well, that is the quick swap poll rewards. So 2 days left on that one. When that will be finishing or going well, just in time for the next epoch, so that everything can go smoothly. All right. So our next active proposal is AGIP 123, Community Wearable Schematics Release. So this one has currently got 86% of the vote. We're 7.9 million towards quorum, and we still have 1 week to go. Oh, no, we've already reached quorum. So, no, I'm looking at the wrong one. My apologies. So, yeah, we have 1 week to go, and we are 94% of the way. Thanks for the link phase. And this is going to give us 12 unique designs and a community competition so that we can come up with some new pets. So I saw that Pixelcraft is looking to reserve the face. Which one was it that you guys were after for your mystery potential partnership?
Yeah, the common face slot is one slot that we were aiming to potentially use for this collab with the gaming partner.
Lovely. You're very, very good at not giving anything away. Is there anything you can slip out this time?
Not at the moment.
No. No worries. So, but that still leaves us with pets. We need and other wearables too. So, Cbot is going to be dropping some templates to help us all out. So, anyone that wants to get involved, we can jump in there, check out the forum thread, and let's see some new wearables and pets coming to the Gotchiverse soon. We did the last competition was pretty awesome. We got some great submissions and winners. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what will come out of this one. Here we have our 3 proposals. And then the last proposal we have is the fund creation of the Ghostly Gladiator MVP. So we heard from Zygo last week. If you have any further questions, you can jump into the forum again. But he is looking for 6,500 to fund an MVP of his roguelike deck building grid-based battler. So that's going to use some of the assets and the lore in the Gotchiverse. And he has some pretty well laid out everything that he is asking for, who he is hiring for the different positions, and all the information you really need to make a decision. So that is currently at 84% in favor. But we've just started voting, so we're at 3.9 million into quorum, and we have still got a bit more time on this one. So jump on in there. We've got one more week, and we're only halfway there. But let us know what you think about this new game we can add to our bag. So those are all our current active proposals. So following on from this, we've had a lot of discussion in the DAO forums. So next up, the luchadors, if they're ready and waiting, we have Token Price, Linker, and Luchador to talk about their idea and proposal of a partnership between us and their crew. So, you guys in the crowd, can you come on up? We're not here yet.
A little side quest if anyone's interested. I linked a game testing file if you want to hop in here and play Battleverse.
Wonderful. I don't see the Luchador crew in the crowd at the moment. So we might just jump on and continue on. We have our update from Coda Dan already about the liquidity on Aerodrome. So check out the forums if you want more information there when he gets that. And then the next thing we have is some lore with Spire.io. So Musashi and Memor Berries have an idea of a partnership to kind of organize our lore and to gamify the creation of more with their projects. So do we have Musashi and Mima Berry ready to go? Are you guys here? No? So Mima Berries, where's Mima Berry? Paul is trying to get up on stage now. 2 seconds.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me okay?
Welcome. Yes, you're coming through loud and clear.
Awesome. Yes, you want me to go into Aspire now? I'm not sure the order of things going on.
Yeah, just the floor is
Cool.
yours.
Yeah, so I was talking with Musashi last week on the Page DAO call on Twitter. They do lore writing and other just Web3 writing and stuff. And yeah, we got to talking about my platform, Spire, which is on-chain lore. We partner with GameFi projects and sort of develop a lore base for them. And we have this platform that basically automates contests to continue that lore. So how Spire works is that our team works with teams to generate 6 texts that we call Genesis texts, and these are like the foundation. We try to curate things based on what's going on in their universe, and I mean I've been involved with Aavegotchi since the start actually, and so I really wanted to bring it up with you guys to see like what could happen here. We've got a couple projects already live on Spire. We've been live for let's say 8 months now, but it's been even longer than that we've been exploring this idea of really putting a deeper focus on lore for projects that look like they're going to last for decades. Honestly, I can maybe screen share if that's okay and sort of show you how this works.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Right. Let's see here. Oh, it's not looking like it's letting me screen share. But yeah, I
When you
guess.
have to stop your screen share because he's sharing his gameplay video,
Okay.
so that might be messing it up.
Gotcha.
Do I need to not share my screen? Is that the deal?
Yeah, I think that will allow him to share.
Yeah, I think that worked. Okay. All right. So this is, I think you guys can see this. So this is an example of one of our projects, the Realm Verse. They're on Arbitrum, and these are the Genesis texts basically, which are the first ones that we did, and then chapters span on from there. Probably best to see this. It's called the Spire visual. And you can look at a Spire as sort of a lore blockchain where people are competing to mint the next block essentially. And why does it look like a weird circle thing rather than a linear chain? It's because these 6 texts are sort of the first chapter of 6 unique storylines. So say you have the Gotchi verse as having these 6 Genesis texts, it would be one would be about the Great Portal. There'd be a story about the origins of that. Another one would be about, a specific Gotchi that gets summoned from his own portal, and maybe they have like little discussions with the other liquidated Gotchis before they go live. You explore what that feels like, and so on around. So you have like 6 different kind of expressions of things going on, so people can get a feel for all sorts of things going on in the universe. And so we work with the team that we're partnering with to figure out the best writing for all those things, what they want to touch on. It's a very centralized aspect. Once that happens, then we go live with our smart contract, which is this sort of like blockchain inside a smart contract. Essentially, it took us quite a while to perfect, but once that happens, the stories expand. Here's community submitted content, and these contests basically they're submissions by community members, but the team is the one selecting winners. So there's control over where things go on the winner selection level, but it's very much a community participation project. And what happens after you get the text lore? People there's contests for other things. The biggest example right now is these essentially JPEG contests, which we call echoes. And so what they're doing is they're reading the story and they're competing to try to express the visualization of those stories in all sorts of ways. And so this would be an example of a character echo, where a few dozen people submitted these images. This was the one selected that best depicts the character in the story. And like this, we developed this fully on-chain sort of building blocks for the lore that works long-term as sort of the canon for an ecosystem, if you will. And yeah, it's been really well received. Honestly, we've thought about this for quite a while. Actually, I met with JC. I think he was a community manager for Aavegotchi back in 2021 at a conference. I was asking, hey, what do you think about lore? I think this is the future. And I mean, it's been a lot of me shouting into the darkness the last couple of years until we finally got this structured. And I think that, you know, by the end of the year, probably next year, we're going to see more sort of lore-fi structures happen. And we've made a concerted effort to do this in a way that's really sustainable and long-term. And perhaps one of the most important things is that it's automated. All these contests just automatically go. When a winner is selected, then they move on to the next storyline, and you start to contribute for that. Once those contests are completed, it goes on to the next one. And we go like that. It's just a matter of participation, both from the admins that are approving and selecting winners and the community that is producing that content. And our vision is that, you know, we'll have teams with this really sophisticated on-chain lore that happens. And the biggest thing is that the incentives are, if you have won the contest, you're the one getting these NFTs. So like fake gotchis, like, you know, rare Pepe back in the day, they're semi-fungible. And if you win, you get the actual mints, which people have shown that they value on our platform. And similar to fake gotchis, like there's a real economy around this structure, in the same way that block rewards as far back as Bitcoin, people are valuing, you know, winning the block with the most successful miners and trading those Bitcoins around. So this is what we're up to. And yeah, it's good to connect with you guys. Happy to answer any questions if you got it.
That sounds really cool to me. I mean, I'm definitely interested in the lore aspect of the Gotchiverse, and we should have a lot of it because, as we always say, it's deep and a rabbit hole and complex. So I think we need lore to match. I know there's been a few efforts by community members to kickstart some more lore building. So maybe this would be a great way of gamifying and drawing attention to that initiative. It would be great if you could spin up a thread in the DAO discussion so we can get some more heads together and see what everyone thinks about this idea. Lore is always something we want to expand on. So let's see.
If it's okay, I would like to ask the question to Pixelcraft team because I heard that they own the rights for the Gotchiverse for the lore, and that's why we, as a community, didn't move forward with the lore at all because there was quite a lot of initiatives to write lore or just handwriting without the AI. So I would like to hear from the team.
I don't know if that's true. As I remember it, is anybody can write anything. We love fan fiction, lore. I guess in terms of if there's something super canon, like that would be something we always wanted to express in the Gotchiverse, kind of questing and through NPCs. And that's kind of right around the time the Gotchiverse 2D, it just was incapable of, you know, delivering the lore. And that's where we said, all right, we got to move to Unity. And so, yeah, hopefully that answers that question. But I did hop back on stage because I just wanted to say this is really, really cool. And I missed what chain does this work on? Is this would these be
Yeah, so
yeah, where's the smart
yeah, we
contracts?
started on Arbitrum, and we're exploring solutions like with Layer 0 and stuff to go to other chains. And I've been, of course, monitoring you guys like moving to base and seeing how this whole process works, both technically and culturally.
Right.
So we definitely want to expand to any chain that can have Aspire, but the main challenge is to make sure that, you know, our ecosystem of spires, like they can all support each other. It's this kind of interoperability. We get artists that are contributing lore for one spire, they jump into another one and try to support it. So we want to have that sort of holistic approach. And it's a bit it has its technical challenges with different chains, obviously, but we're looking to expand.
It's very interesting. You have good relations and are already active with the Arbitrum community, because we're still, I think last week's DAO call we talked about in terms of Gotchi chain tech stack. We are talking to Arbitrum, and it's on that super short list of potentials. We may end up working with Arbitrum, so that would be very interesting too. It would still settle to base, but it'd be a best of both worlds kind of thing. So
Yeah.
very cool. I think, what is it? FaZe also made a good point here in terms of, back to Ace, your question. I mean, there's plenty of lore already that comes out, and a lot of that comes on the Fakes platform, and also DAO funded games like Dropped are bringing their lore. So one thing that Dan and I have been very sad about is that we've been really slow to get our own lore out, and beyond what we've had at the very early stages. We kind of set the high level meta very early on, but there's a lot more of that story that we just haven't been able to deliver. And it's coming out in the graphic novel that continues to be worked on. That's work in progress. But the timeline on that is a bit slower than we'd like. So he mentioned there's something we're cooking up, and I just was shocked listening to Mimberries here. Something we're planning for Gotchi Chain is an original DApp there. Is kind of similar. It's we're calling it Aavegotchi Lore, and it's like an open source storytelling platform. So it's different from yours in that yours is like very interesting with the spires. It's nothing like that, but it is something where kind of users can create content around the story that we're telling in kind of a chronological, like almost like episodes kind of release cadence. So that's something interesting. I just want to call out. I think we have room for all of these applications and stories. I just think I just wanted to say that we are working on something really special, and hopefully, I think it's still very, very different from what you guys are building, and we can have both. So very, very supportive of all the lore initiatives, basically. Dan,
Yeah,
I don't think we.
interesting.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I wish we could say more, but I don't know. It's kind of early, right? Like we're gonna have a big push around it. What do you think, Dan? I don't want to steal your thunder either. Like the focus is on your guys' project right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably room for both, especially if ours was going to be a bit more, will be a bit more zoomed out, I guess, almost the pre-story in a way. But there's plenty of room for more kind of granular lore, character-based stuff as well. We're kind of trying to set the stage for how everything got to be how it is, but there's so much room to play with like specific characters or different, all aspects of the world.
Yeah, it's almost like they'd play really well with one another. I don't know timing wise when you guys would be able to put this live. Probably pretty quick because it's already live in terms of spires. But ours would go live with Gotchi Chain, and it's almost like, imagine like the Star Wars scroll, opening scroll. Like we're just giving you the high level, like week after week on a certain aspect of Gotchiverse and rules of the universe. Not rules, but like the major characters and different aspects of it. And it's very episodic in that sense. So it could like totally inspire people to take that and then, write a new Spire or something. So I would love to see a lot of storytelling happening this summer. Anyway, I'm just shocked to see this today. This is super cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like we've got some great timing going on here.
Yeah, just something to explore. Wanted to come up and share it, and a lot of teams are thinking about lore more and more. We're happy to help you with any Arbitrum discussion with those guys, as we are just exploring what various teams' needs are, and maybe Aspire fits a part in that.
Wonderful. Well, I look forward to seeing more discussion on this in the DAO forums. It looks like we are jumping into the lore side of things soon, so this is pretty cool. Does anyone have anything else they want to add on this, or shall we jump back to the luchadors? We have Token Price in the audience ready to go. Let's see. Just wait for him to come up on stage. 2 minutes.
Just kind of cool to hear that we as community and as a DAO are able to write our own lore right now. Because I remember 1 year ago, me, Foreign, there was Da Vinci Gotchi and Gotchi Bulls and Bowtie Nerd. All of us together was trying to write some stuff about the DAO and just like about the Gotchiverse, and it's kind of cool to know that we are actually able to make something and it's gonna be legit and it's gonna be nothing judged by the rights of PC or something like this. It's exciting news.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about it. I'm all about the lore and anything that can organize it, give it a place to live. And as PC were saying, we've got room for both. We've got the canon lore from Pixelcraft, and then we've got all our fan fiction lore to fill in all the other gaps, because there's a lot we could be writing about. We have all the characters, all the different wearable sets, the locations. Like, there's a lot we have to play with. So it's definitely something we want to I want to explore, and I think that would be great for the Gotchiverse as a whole to get our lore sorted and organized. So let's see, has anyone managed to get token price from the luchadors? Can you try raising your hand? We're having trouble getting you up on stage.
Jim, coaches, can you hear me well?
We can. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, sorry for for being a bit late, apparently.
Not a problem at all. So, what do you have for us?
So yeah, as you guys might have seen, there's been an ATIP regarding some collaboration between the coaches and the luchadors, and wanted to come to the call to maybe answer some questions, give you some context about it. And it's quite interesting you guys were talking about law, because this is also something that we're developing at the luchadors, and that could be of interest for you guys if you are into law. We have quite a few events already, let's say, from our little universe, even though we are not formalizing law yet with anything on chain. That could be interesting also to grow the Gotchi law through Lucha. But anyway, maybe I start with what's in the current proposal and what we had envisioned, and we can take it from here. I don't know.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially, it stemmed from the fact that we saw you guys making transition to base, and that's also something we've been doing with the luchadores coming in from Polygon. And also just over the long term, it's kind of a long time coming, so there might be a few members of the community that are kind of expecting it, because there is a lot of redundancy. We have quite a few members of our communities that are Gotchi holders. I believe a decent amount of Gotchi holders are also familiar with the luchadores. So we've been considering for probably more than a year already how we could formalize some kind of collaboration between the two projects. So the core idea is around three main topics, essentially. The first one is pretty much token based. So between the GHST and Lucha token, in terms of a joint liquidity strategy there. Second one is about tournaments. So in the Luchadores game, we have tournaments we can organize on a frequent basis. And we figured we could essentially welcome the Gotchis into our tournaments and allow them to enjoy the auto battler game of the Luchador. And the third pillar is personally the one I'm most excited about, is what we call the Gocha Doors. And it's essentially, so the Luchadores is a pixel-based game, just like Gotchis. And so we have the possibility of bringing other NFTs from other collection to the game, or the game of Luchadores, the auto battler game. And so, of course, we love to have the Gotchis be essentially the first collection we bring literally in the arena. So, meaning you will be able to fight a Luchadores fight with your Gotchis. And it would go as far as essentially extending a proper status to the Gotchi in terms of Gotcha dollars and being able to participate in a ranked league, earn from the luchadores play to earn, and essentially no second tier citizen there. They will just play the game just like a regular lucha NFT. So those are the highlights. I don't know if you guys have any questions on that. Just to give you a bit more context on myself, maybe. So I'm Token Bryce. Maybe you know me, maybe you don't. My specialty is more around the liquidity strategy. So the first pillar. This one I can tell you all about it. We can go really, really deep if you want, because that is my main occupation. For the two other ones, I'm familiar. I'm very involved with Luchador. I really love this community and this game. But ideally, we're looking at bringing one of my colleagues from the Lucha team to in a further call to give you more color on those two items.
There actually was quite a lot of questions about the pool that you guys was offering to make. Like, what's the point of our ghost token against your token on the aerodrome, and what's the plan for that, and like what for?
Sure. So there are several layers to this, but essentially the bulk of it lies in terms of improving the efficiency of overall the liquidity strategy. So I believe my colleagues have voiced it to you guys, but sorry to break it to you, but your current liquidity strategy on Aerodrome is extremely wasteful and will be hard to sustain over the long term because you are simply not playing that game. On the opposite, the luchadores are playing that game fully, and maybe the figures will talk for themselves a bit more. So in terms of market cap, the luchadores is about 0.06% of the Gotchi, so really a small project. But no, in terms of liquidity, they achieve 1/30 of your liquidity. So that kind of gives you the ratio of, it's not following the market cap at all. To put it in numbers, maybe that will be a bit more explicit for you guys. I believe Gochi, last time I checked, is about 70 million market cap overall, everything accounted for. Luchadores are about 500K market cap. Now, in terms of liquidity, the Luchadores are able to achieve at no cost about 300K of liquidity in the pool. The Gochi have 10 times that figure. So maybe just to retranslate it so you get it right. You guys have 150 times the market cap, and you have 10 times the liquidity of Luchadores, plus sizable spending on your liquidity strategy. So it's just a matter of essentially helping you get into the game. So the way the luchadores do it is the strategy based on accumulating and locking sizable amount of arrows. And this is where a pool like a lucha gochi pool could come into play. Because essentially it would be, instead of being an expenditure for you guys in terms of, every week you're posting those bribes. And the minute you stop those bribes, your liquidity is going to suffer heavily. So it's a constant expenditure for you guys. What we're offering in the proposal here is essentially an investment instead of an expenditure. So there will be some Gochi disbursed, but they will be matched by Lucha from the Luchadores treasury and placed into a pool where we can then allocate some vote and essentially have a source of IRO to farm continuously here and grow the voting power over time. So that's like the liquidity optimization layer, let's say. And then maybe it's less apparent, but we believe it's also nice to have this pool, simply because, then people who are holding a Lucha token and GSHT simply have a nice, neat farming opportunities with the both token. There are, of course, considerations to be had in terms of price movement, impermanent loss, and so on. So the good news is on our side, the token has been pretty stable as of late. So I don't believe ER should be so much of a problem. Kind of same thing on your side. There's been a lot of movement with the base launch, but it's been roughly stable around the $1.50 mark lately. So ER shouldn't be too much of a concern on that pool.
Sounds very interesting. And what about the your auto battler? You said in the proposal that you'll be using some Gotchi NFTs integrated into that. Is there anything more you can tell us about that side of things?
Yes, so there is two levels here because there is a bit of development work on our end to be able to welcome the gotchis into the game completely. So the way we envision in the initial proposal is to have this working on by Q1 next year. But in the meanwhile, what we can do to kind of give you guys a taste, let's say, of the lucha, is organize tournaments. There would be free. There would be free entries to this tournament for Gotchi holders. So it's kind of a way of giving a free taste to the Gotchi holders. Tournaments work in a way where there is a cash prize for each tournament that are distributed to the winners. Could be different formulas. We have some tournaments that are winner take all, others that are a bit more distributed amongst the top 5 or top 10 or whatsoever. And the way it works is kind of, for those who do follow sports or things like that, you might be familiar with this. But essentially, we get a number of participants that is an exponent of 2. So we were suggesting 256. It seems pretty reasonable. And then it's all based on rounds. So luchadors are fighting each other. Every round there is a luchador being eliminated for each bracket until we get to a nice sweet finale with 2 luchador fighting. And then the final with or what we call the great campaign, the winner of the tournament, and they kind of get special status within the game. They get free entry to the next tournament, and they are recognized on Discord, and potentially they will get even their little special skin in game to be distinguishable from a regular luchador. So yeah, in the proposal we were suggesting to allocate a part of the funds that are asked to essentially be cash prize of the tournament. And here again, it's not an ask down the drain like, thank you guys for giving us Gotchi, we're going to have fun. We are also here matching with funds from our own treasury. So that's really kind of the spirit of the proposal, and why we believe it's really fair is because everything essentially is matched from everything we ask for is being matched with assets from our own treasury. The only dimension that essentially is not would be the third one. But the third one, instead of being matched with our treasury, is matched with our development time and effort. And it's a whole track of coachadores I was talking about before. So just to re-explicit it once more in case, it's essentially welcoming the Gotchi into the Luchadores arena on equal status. So people who own a Gotchi will be able to play that game like if they own Luchadores.
By the way, how big is your community, and how active it is in your Discord, and how is the all the like I don't know participation of the people?
Yeah, I mean, it has its ups and downs. It's still pretty active. We have a decent core of members that are quite committed to the game. We organize a frequent tournament. We don't have too much trouble feeling. So we do 128 to 256 participants tournament, and people are around and participating. I don't have the exact figure in mind if you're looking for things like monthly active users or things like that. But yeah, you can come around the Discord and get an idea for yourself. We're also quite represented within the French community for contextual reason, let's say, simply because Luchadores game has been quite adopted within French DeFi users. So yeah, we have a decent community, pretty heavy French, but also decently international.
And there's already a good bit of overlap between us and the Luchadors. I know there's a good few Gotchi gang that have that are involved in your community too. So it seems like a pretty good synergy between the two.
Yes, that's the idea. That's kind of where this proposal come from. Is that for I know it's really informal. Let's say there's simply a bit of overlap. People liking both, and the idea is to kind of handshake this and connect this more at an on-chain level and a game level.
I'm actually surprised that you are guys French-based, and I actually thought that there is something more Hispanic about that.
So yeah, we do get that, but that's kind of the funny thing about Luchadores. You know, is it's a Mexican fighting game developed by a guy that is I don't want to dox him, but let's say definitely not from this part of the world, and that found its traction, adoption, and sympathizer, evangelizers, let's say, in the
That's
French
kind of
community and across Europe.
Yeah, that's kind of cool and impressive. That means like there is no actual like nation between the people. We are all people of the world, kind of.
La lucha libre es global.
I don't know what does it mean, but it sounds cool.
Oh, sorry. I'm not even sure. I'm not exactly good at Spanish, but I was trying to say that the lucha libre is all around the world.
Awesome. Well, does anyone else have any questions they want to pop into the chat now? Otherwise, the forum thread for this one is nice and active. The guys from Luchador are responding to questions, and they've posted a load of information if you want to dive deeper into the nitty gritty of the liquidity and the integration between the NFTs. So there's plenty of information there to sink your teeth into, and then we can see what comes of this discussion.
Actually,
Yeah, I
Kodadan
wanted
was
to.
asking a question. Sorry
Oh,
to
go for it.
interrupt you, but there was a question from Kodadan. Did you guys seed with the more initial incentives on the IRA pool, or
Did we seed with what? Sorry.
did you guys seed with more initial incentive?
Incentives.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a strategy that kind of mix on. So you know, at base level, you can be bribing your pool, you can be supplying that pool yourself, and ideally, if you have the arrow, you're voting also for that pool. We're doing all three of that. So the Luchadores Treasury is seeding about $70K worth total of liquidity across the two pools. And the remaining, the 230K, are assisting thanks to voting and bribing that is in large part recouped.
Very cool. And yeah, the Gotchi stats is the other one for the Gotchi battler. Yeah. So FaZe is watching the chat for us here as well. So thanks for answering the questions. That's loads of information available, and it is a very interesting partnership that could, who knows where it could end up.
I wanted to ask you guys to, so as far as I understand, the calls are always on Saturday, right? Would there be any chance of organizing maybe a special one during a weekday? I'm asking because the founder of the project, who goes by the nickname Luchador, sorry for the confusion, but that's what it is. So the founder, the man himself, we'd be happy to join the calls to maybe give you a bit more perspective on how the tournament and the in-game stuff is going to work, but is usually not very available on the weekends. So if we can organize a special one, let's say on the weekdays, you could essentially hear it from the horse's mouth.
We do host a space on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, Gotchi specific X space. So if you talk with Golden Cross, who's the main host of the event, I think we can definitely have you come on. And I usually stream, so if you can, you can show stuff about your tournament and stuff like that, so people can see it.
Nice, sounds good. Yeah. So I guess I'll be in touch with Golden Cross and see what we can do here.
Awesome. Looking
Oh.
forward to it.
There was also just one question from Coder Dan. He was asking, would the Gotchi stats be used in the auto battler?
So we have luchadores have their own stats in terms of strength, endurance, agility, and dexterity. And from here, the in-game characteristics are derived. They also have skills. So the Gochi will simply kind of adopt a luchador's form, if you may, in terms of the stats. Maybe if that works really well, we could envision some kind of a Gochi specific skills, for instance. Maybe something ghost based. That could be really fun. The only thing we have to keep in mind is then to make sure the balance is kept. We don't want to have a skill available only to the Gochi where they could pound all the luchadores. But yeah, no. So in terms of stats, simply because balance, there will be no influence of the Gochi stats when they are played as luchador in the luchadores game.
Cool. Well, I look forward to hearing more about that when we organize another session during the week so that we can get into the nitty gritty and see how we can join forces or benefit from each other mutually. So thank you very much for coming up. It was great to have you on stage. And
Thank
we
you
will be
for having
talking
me.
again, it seems.
Looking forward. Cheers. Enjoy, coaches.
Wonderful. Thank you. So we are
Thank you. Have a
at
good weekend.
We're at the 5 o'clock mark here. Really, all we have is a few teeny tiny little updates. I just want to direct people back to the forums because Immaterial has started a thread on Rarity Farming Season 8 and the Gotchi Battler tournament structures. So normally we leave this a little bit too last minute to make any real changes. This time around, we're on the ball and the thread is up and running. So anyone that has any thoughts or ideas, jump in there and let us know. And Quincy has also started a thread for developing revenue streams for the DAO, which obviously is pretty important. So anyone that has ideas there, please feel free to share them and we can continue brainstorming and moving forward with our DAO treasury management and all that fun stuff. White Ranger, whose physical arcade machine is just looking for some artwork at the minute. So any artists out there, please, if you have the time, jump into the threads. There's some templates there that can help you with coming up with a design for our first round of arcade machines. So we want them to look as cool as they are. And other than that, the only other thing was the future of kinship thread that Coder Dan started. There were some pretty good ideas popping around there. The more the merrier. Kinship hasn't changed since it started, so somewhere down the line, I'm sure it has to. So we need more feedback from the community to iron out what is possible, what isn't, and what we're willing to go with. So please join us in the forums and let's keep these conversations going. So does anyone else have anything else they want to add before we sign off for the weekend?
Great job hosting, guys. Amazing job.
Thank you kindly.
And, thanks, friend. Have a great rest of the weekend.
You too. All right.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Peace, friends.
Yeah, great job today. Have a good day.
Have a good
Bye,
weekend.
guys.
Bye.